Welcome to the Resilience Sucks podcast, brought to you by the Adaptability Movement. I'm Ben.
And I'm Dan.
And we're here to give you resources and tools to help you go from a state of surviving to thriving in life.
Resilience sucks the life out of you. And while it's a necessary skill, it's one that we don't want to spend too much time in or we run out of capacity. We're here to talk to you more about how to adapt and find the opportunity in change so you can really go about thriving in your own life.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Pool Compliance Adelaide. Pool Compliance Adelaide has a simple mission: to provide professional advice and photographic proof that your pool complies with the relevant state statutory requirements. If you're buying, renting, or even selling a property, make sure your pool is compliant with Pool Compliance Adelaide.
Bevan Jones, welcome to the Resilience Sucks podcast. Mate, how you going?
Kirky, great to be on. Obviously, it's been the other way around previously where I've interviewed you, so it's nice to be sitting here and having asked you asking me all the questions today. So
absolutely. So, and tell us about that. Like Legends with Bevo, how's it going? You mentioned it was 4 years that you've sort of been in the business of running your own podcast and stuff now, and it's gone through different iterations. Like, give us a bit of insight into that.
Yeah, sure. So it's definitely been a journey, Kirky, that's for sure. Amazingly, today is 4 years since I started the podcast, and go back 4 years, it was me and Smythe, Phil Smythe, just having a chat. Mama Camella's Alex Aricchio, one of our late great mates, sadly passed away a couple of years ago. He was filming for us, and we'd just be chatting about on basically the footy tips for that round, and it would be Bevo's footy tips, and at the time I was like, I expected to get 100 people watching, and we chucked up our first video, and there was basically 1,000 people, the very first one, and it's gone from there, Kirky. And sort of how the idea came about was I just sort of come back from the Riverland, and I was pretty shattered because I'd lost my dream job as a radio announcer, and wasn't sure where to go from there, and then caught up with Smythe, who was a mentor and a regular on my breakfast program, and had done a bit of stuff in radio previously before as well, and he's like, yeah, why don't you do the online tipping? So kept that going for 12 months. Different people on every week like Alex would come on for a chat, get different people on each week, you came on a couple of times as well, and just talk about your journeys and what have you, and have a bit of banter at the same time. And then at the end of the footy season back in 2018, and I was like, at that stage we changed it from Bevo's footy tips to chewing the fat, and we'd just get different people on, and I was really enjoying the interaction that we'd get and the banter. And it's the end of the footy season, so there's no footy tips to talk about, but why not just keep it going as a bit of a this is your life kind of thing. And 4 years later, it's gone from chewing the fat to Legends with Bevo in late 2019, and I've now interviewed probably over 200 amazing people, past and present sports people, entertainment icons, people doing great things in the community. And if someone had said 4 years ago I would have chatted to all these people, I would have probably laughed at them, because it's just been phenomenal for someone who's, I've never played AFL, never played Stanford or anything like that. The highest profile I've ever had is being a breakfast announcer in the Riverland on Classic Hits 5RM. So it's just been one of those incredible journeys, and I think myself extremely lucky and fortunate, and thank everyone that's come on the show, and it's helped me, yourself, Kirky, included, along the way. So
sure, mate, it's a great story, and the reason why I invited you on is because although the podcast's called Resilience Sucks, it's a play on words, because resilience is absolutely something that we all need in life, and it helps us get through tough and challenging situations. And I think, particularly the last few years, there's probably a lot of people that have experienced a challenge in their life, which is something they didn't expect, and it's affected different people in different ways. But I guess our message is that, well, you can, if you live in resilience and that's all you're ever doing, then it sucks the life out of you. It sucks your life force. So, what your story represents to me is this element of bouncing back, of adaptability, of finding the opportunity in change and creating something from that. And it's remarkable what you've done. Like you said, to go from the disappointment of losing the opportunity or the position you're in. It's easy to sort of go into that victim mindset or into a woe is me kind of feeling, and that's not to dismiss anyone that's feeling that. Those are genuine emotions that we feel, but what next? What then? And that's where adaptability comes into this. So, look, I'd really love to hear a little bit more about, that emotional sort of transition for you. Like, I imagine it did feel pretty crappy at the beginning, but I won't take the words from your mouth. You let me know.
Yeah.
And then how did you process that? Where did you go, well, this isn't satisfying me? This is, what we talk about is kind of, you almost go through a point of reflection, right? So you go, this is where I am right now. Once you finally accept that, you start to go, instead of wishing for what was, you start to go, what's available to me? What is it that I really want? What are the tools I already have available? And then what do I need to add to that to move towards something rather than just away from something? So can you just provide some context in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember vividly, I got called into the office on a Monday morning. So basically, Kirky, I'd spend my week living up in the Riverland, and then most weekends I'd come back to Adelaide to see my partner, now wife, and friends and family and what have you. And then every Sunday afternoon I'd drive back to the Riverland and then do my show on the, obviously, first thing on the Monday morning from 6 to 9. And still annoys me that he couldn't have sacked me on the Friday instead of making me drive up all that way on a Monday morning to sack me. But anyway, that's another story itself. So I'd been having some conversations, and I guess I got thrown in the deep end big time with this show because I had to produce my own show, panel it, organise all the guests. I was spending like 12 hours a day and getting paid peanuts, really. And I'd never really paddled much before, so to basically be a solo announcer of your own show in a country radio station was a big challenge, but I really enjoyed the opportunity and felt after 6 months I was starting to really get the hang of it. But obviously it wasn't to be, and certain people didn't sort of like what I was doing, which is, and I said I want to head in another direction with the station, but I was totally, did not agree with that at all and felt like I deserved my contract to be extended. But that's life. That's brutal. The media can be brutal, and they weren't happy. So that's they sort of said you're better behind the scenes and on air, which I thought was garbage, but that's just the way it goes. So when I sort of got the news that my contract wasn't getting extended, and it felt like to be honest with you, it felt like the way I got treated was as if I'd slept with someone at the station or done something really, like said something really nasty on air or something. The way it was horrible. Basically, pack your things and go. And it's like, you're not on air anymore. See you later. And it was just horrendous. And I won't name names or things like that, but I felt as though that's just not a nice way to treat someone that's been just doing it for 6 months. And so I'll burst into tears, Kirky, because 1 minute you're doing what you love, and the next minute you just completely lost everything. And I was just like, I was renting a house up there in the Riverland, and I was just so angry and shattered. So just packed up my bags and just left. Just wanted to get the hell out of there as fast as I could. And literally, I've never packed a house so quickly in my life because I just wanted to just be out of there. Yeah. So got sacked in the morning, and then that night I was back in Adelaide, and just like, what am I going to do next kind of thing. And it was just like I was absolutely, because I had a pretty tough, we'll talk about this later on, but I had a pretty tough upbringing with high school and bullying and what have you. But I felt like, this is almost on par with that, because you've been in situations before, a lot of people have as well, where you get things taken away from you that you really love. And I worked so hard to, I finished a media and communications degree in 2016, made a big career change from doing government roles for 10, 11 years in admin to being, because I wanted to do something different for the next 30 years and get into radio and what have you. And then to work so hard, so much volunteering, travel for all around Australia doing volunteer gigs. If you saw my CV, I think back in 2016, I went all around Australia and did 6 different work placements, like in Port Pirie twice and just all around the place. And then when you get your dream job and you work so hard for that, and I guess it's the same as an AFL player or a Stanford player, whatever it might be, when you get delisted, it's exactly the same thing. You're just like, what am I going to do next? And that's exactly how I felt. I was just so gutted. So caught up with Phil Smythe, my mentor and friend, and who was a regular on the breakfast show, as I mentioned before, and he was also like, I did a bit of stuff on radio with Smythe, and he's such a great bloke. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have Legends of Bevo / Chewing the Fat / Bevo's Footy Tips, because he was the one that came up with the idea. And so he could see how shattered I was, and he was just all about helping me out, and still through to this day, like, he's been always there for me the last 4 years. And whenever I need a chat or need some help with something, he's always there to help out, whether it be as a guest on the show or getting guests for me. And so he's been incredible from that perspective. And obviously, an amazing wife, very supportive wife, because a lot of people wouldn't know, but a lot of the episodes, a majority of them have been out of my own pocket. So I spent ridiculous amounts of money the last few years, and she could have told me, no, you can't do that anymore. And there's been times where I've wanted to give it up, because it is a lot of work for not much reward financially. But she's the one that's been really supportive and told me to keep going, which is obviously a great wife to have. So here I am 4 years later, and extremely long-winded answer to your question there, Kirky.
That's fine. What I love about that is your vulnerability, like your openness about sharing those, because it's to be able to relate to people and demonstrate that it's not just someone getting on air going, yeah, I've made it and I've got this and you should do this like me. Like that's not relatable. And in fact, we're not even, like, none of us would claim to have made it, at all. And it's more about life as a journey, and whether that's token or not, it's true. Like, we go through a series of experiences and we do that through combinations and interactions with other people, and hopefully we achieve some growth from that, and when we sort of leave a legacy or some purpose that we sort of go through life with. And the what you're talking about is like that emotional ebbs and flows of sort of like thinking and that you've sort of got to a checkpoint in life where you're happy with, and that you want to slowly build from that, and then having that sort of pulled out from underneath you. And I can certainly relate to that. I know that Ben can relate to that as well with his own career in sport. And the key thing that you said for me, mate, is about it's those values that an organisation and people hold. And it sounds like the place that you're in, there wasn't a values alignment. Maybe initially you thought there was because you had a similar interest and a similar purpose, but the way that you go about that is different. And that's the big difference that I'm hearing from you, in that that environment wasn't the right environment for you, despite what it felt like it was an opportunity. And yet when you sort of came back and you found your feet, you've reconnected with Smythe, you've got a supportive wife, and they're investing that passion with you. They're investing in what you care about because that means something to them. And I'm absolutely sure that you reciprocate that, much like what you're doing now. Yeah. Like, we came and did a few podcasts with you and stuff, and as you were sort of getting established and stuff, and like you said, we just had some great fun. And I think that is the attraction and the appeal to what you do, is that it's genuine, it's authentic, it's local. Like, okay, you're pulling in some bigger names now from outside of that, but it's not necessarily about their status. It's about the wisdom they can offer to the people around you that you care about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, to me, that's what makes me interested. So, like, I love hearing you speak about that, about Smythe as a mentor and the role of mentors in your life, and your wife in terms of that support. Yeah. And maybe this is something we'll explore a bit further, because I know with my wife Kim, we talk about. We're teammates, and you might think that's he's a sports jock and like that's just his thing, and but actually what I mean by that is that that is the one person in your life that you go to war for, like you protect no matter what, like you invest in, you care about, like you build a life together from that interaction, right?
Yeah.
For those of us that are having kids or expecting kids, like that's the next phase of that, in terms of you're expanding that clan.
Yeah.
So if you're investing in that in a way where it's about valuing the relationship and what the relationship creates, it's got a much better chance of survival than what it does if it's about, these are my needs and they're your needs, and we'll have this transaction. But if the transaction ever doesn't add up, then I'm resenting you or you're resenting me, and there's a lot of damage that's done by that.
Yeah.
So tell us more about how that works, like in your relationship, and the way that life's changed for you a little bit in terms of how you value those relationships since having an experience like that.
Yeah, sure. So I guess you mentioned before having that support network, and Kelly, my wife's been amazing, and there has been times the last 4 years, particularly the last sort of 12 months, because financially we're all going through struggles at the moment with COVID and what have you, and I guess it's my own choice to do my episodes now at Pod Booth, which Rory and his team put unbelievable videos together, and I've had people from Channel 7 like I was on Channel 7 Sunrise last year, and it's like even the producers, Stan Mack's segment said, looks like you're in a current affairs studio, because like everyone else is sitting in their lounge rooms or their bedrooms and stuff, and we've got this amazing studio that just stands out like a sore thumb, and so that's my choice to do my videos there, and I've made that decision to go from doing it at home on Zoom, where you can barely see my face, to this incredible studio setup, and I suppose it's been. I'm always reaching out to try and get people to sponsor me, and it's hard because everyone's tight with money, and like I don't have that profile like other sports podcasts like How Games and stuff do, and so I know it's always going to be that challenge, but it's my choice to want to do it at Pod Booth and want to have that sort of first class quality. And the sound, because we joked before about when I first started doing my episodes, and I I hate watching them because it's so bad. You can barely even hear us when we did the one with you and with Benny Kane as well.
Yeah.
And you could barely hear us talking and because it was on a mobile phone and, you know, it's the quality. And I used to do them in Mama Camella's cafe with kids making heaps of noise and you could barely hear us talk. And now you've got this incredible studio where sound is so much better and sound is really important and people tune off if they can't hear it properly. And also obviously the visual side of things as well is really important too. So getting back to your question there, financially, you know, it is tough at times and I wouldn't be able to do it without Kelly's support and even though she's on my back sometimes, she's like, oh, you know, this is getting really expensive now. You better only do one a fortnight and things. Yeah. So even though I've been doing one a week this year, which is a bit sneaky, but but I can't help myself, Kirky.
Do I need to delay the release of this podcast so that she hasn't found out yet? Is this the big reveal?
No, it's all good. But but no, that support network is so important and having those mentors like the Smithies and stuff in the world and other people I've got out there, like Daniel Norton, who's a general manager of Port Adelaide Football Club, in terms of their media and communications, like he's been a great mentor as well to me. And there's so many people out there that have been so supportive and I couldn't have done it without their support. So yeah,
awesome. You know, that when we talk about it within our business, like the very first thing we address is connected communities, and that starts at home. Like that starts with your interactions with other people and your relationships, and who is your support network, and who's already investing in you that you could be investing back in with them. Yeah. Like a lot of people get caught up in this aura of celebrating success, like, you know, because I got to hang out with, you know, XYZ celebrity to celebrate their premiership or whatever, and
Kardashians and
all that sort of stuff. Like it feels quite superficial, right? It's kind of status based. It's more about, you know, I have importance because I'm associated with them, right? Rather than it being about, well, who are the people that are there when it's tough? And, you know, are they the same people that you celebrate with first when you achieve something along the way towards, you know, what you're moving towards? Yeah. And that's what's really satisfying for me. Like I know, you know, Ben and I make a habit of celebrating each year that we're in business together and whatnot. We, you know, share with each other's sort of birthdays and celebrations and those kind of things.
It's awesome.
And it's really important to celebrate the milestones and the checkpoints along the way. But to do it with the people that have invested in you to get to that point, and then to do it for them too. That whole idea of mutual benefit. Like if you're just leveraging off one person or one organisation to get somewhere, well, if there's leverage, it sort of says that there's an imbalance, and if there's an imbalance, it's not sustainable.
So true.
So how do we create that mutual benefit where we can help each other? You know, how we can care for each other and so that we know that we have that support when we need it, but we also get to bloody celebrate when things go well, right?
And how good it is as well, like when you get your friends messaging you and saying, excuse me, I just saw your interview with Sam Mack the other day and it was so funny, like that was one of your best interviews ever. Or, you know, I remember a guy, Tommy Giles, who's, you know, a basketballer and I think he was, you know, back in the day, might have played college ball or something like that. And, you know, he messaged me and stuff and said, I did like a roaming Port Adelaide on the sort of, when they had their 150-year gala event at the Adelaide Convention Centre, I did like a roaming Brian, but it was roaming Bevo, where I interviewed all these port people and stuff. And he's like, oh, that's your best work ever. And nice. A lot of other people sort of gave me really good feedback about that. So, when you get your friends and even people you don't know sort of giving you really positive comments and stuff like that, it's just makes you feel really good about yourself and feel like, and even when you bump into people on the streets, because you sort of think, oh, no one really watches my videos and stuff, but people actually do, and it's amazing how many people come up to you and go, you know, I love what you're doing, and that sort of makes you feel like, I'm actually doing this for a reason, Kirky, and makes you keep on going. And when we were talking before about how I sort of thought about giving up and spoke to a few people, like, no, keep going, because not just because they want to sort of see you do these episodes, but it's more just because they enjoy it and they enjoy the fact that, you know, I'm heading in the right direction with it. So that makes sense. And
absolutely it does.
And then sort of being on Sunrise last year and like thinking, and being on Triple M and stuff like that, and thinking, okay, now like I'm heading in the right direction here. I'm starting to build a bit of a name for myself. And
great. I love what you said sort of about it's meaningful, it's worthwhile. And I think, you know, it's not just I'm going to do this because it'll give me like credibility or status within the community. It's I'm going to do this because I care about it, because it means something to me. Like it's aligned with my values, and what that does is it helps keep you on track, because now you got a reason to do it. You're not just doing it for the sake of something superficial, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that. In the like, what are the habits that you've had to maybe change in life, or you've had to establish to allow you to get through some of those tougher periods, and that have created more abundance or more opportunity in life for you?
I suppose, like in terms of, like when sort of COVID hit and I lost 4 jobs in a day, like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, what am I going to do now, kind of thing. So I ended up just getting a job at Foodland, stacking shelves, and thank goodness for JobKeeper as well at the same time. And so that was a situation where Zoom, I spoke to Benny before, Zoom's been amazing for me and a lot of people out there. And when COVID sort of hit, I was like, what the heck, Zoom? And that's been an absolute blessing, because you can now chat to people around the world. And so I guess in terms of changing things up at that stage, because I was trying to sort of save money, I would just be doing my Zooms from my lounge room. And even though the quality wasn't as good back then as what it is now, that was how I sort of changed my habits from a financial perspective. And just that way I was able to do more episodes as well. I was doing like 3 a week sometimes, because every man and their dog was just at home in their lounge rooms and were bored. So I was trying to make the most of it, and everyone was on social media back in those days. So so in terms of changing habits, I guess that's one of the things. And then now sort of doing my episodes now at Pod Booth, even though it's sort of more expensive and costs more than what it was sort of doing it previously at home, it's now taken it to that next level of professionalism. And I wouldn't get people like Sam Max, producer, saying things like, my set looks like a current affair, when it was just my Zoom at home kind of thing. So just changing habits based on my situation as well. And and now, like, I only sort of do 4 days a week in my job as a journalist at the Courier. So again, I've got to sort of be a little bit, what's the word? I've got to find extra jobs and stuff to pay the bills, and be a bit more careful in terms of not doing 3 episodes a week, just doing 1 a week or 1 a fortnight or whatever. So that's the way I've sort of changed habits there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So and a good point, because like I was looking to find out what are the helpful habits, but like what are maybe some of the unhelpful habits or the costly habits that you've had to let go of to give yourself the resources and the time and the finances to be able to continue with that habit of recording podcasts, even though like, because it's easy to say, I don't have the money, I can't do this, right?
Yeah.
But there's another way of looking at it and going, well, I have this vision, this is what it's going to take to get from here to here, so I'm going to find a way to finance it, I'm going to find a way to live that life that I want to live, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what maybe you had to sort of like cut out or give up to be able to get, this far.
Yeah, so probably for a while there, especially in the heart of the COVID situation, like with having to cut back my coffees and stuff. Now I'm back to every day, which is great. But back, I'm a huge coffee snob, especially living in Melbourne for a while there. But now for a while there, I'd sort of go back to 3 or 4 a week rather than sort of every day. And like I mentioned to you before, I wouldn't do, I don't do as many episodes now because I have to pay the extra money for Pod Booth, whereas previously when I was doing them at home, I could sort of get away with it a bit more. So just little habits like that. In terms of like from a mental perspective as well, I guess like, mentors, but there's a lot of, the last couple of years, one thing I've learned is you want to be around positive people, and there's so much negativity on social media. We spoke about this before, and social media can be great when you put up a podcast and you get lovely comments and things like that, but you also get those keyboard warriors that sort of say, oh, your podcast is shit, or, blah, 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 and like, oh, this is crap, the host is a knob and stuff like that, which you get every now and then. And so in terms of like habits, that's the negative side of social media. So you don't want to be surrounded by this negativity. So I've sort of, life becomes more about quality, not quantity. And so even though I still have a pretty big circle of friends, I sort of try and spend time with people that I want to spend time with, and that are happy and encouraging and positive, rather than people that are just negative. So, if there's friends that have mental health issues, you don't want to wish any harm upon them, but, like, there's only so much you can do as a friend, and if you're trying to be nice to them and, they're just throwing it in your face, and what's the point? So life's too short to be around those sort of people. So in terms of from a habit perspective, it's, just changing the way you approach life. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. It's a really good perspective, and I think there's often some guilt attached to reevaluating like those people in your inner circle. Like you might have grown up with someone, it might be a family member, and but if there's we talk about this as an energy transfer actually. So we sort of say, like, if you're going to bring someone into a group environment, are they going to add a positive, neutral, or a negative energy to it? Like, what are they? It's like an addition. So like, if someone's coming in are they giving or taking, or is it sort of cost neutral, right? And so you can't have too many takers. And in fact, like, you can have people that take from time to time. That's the whole energy exchange, and someone else can support you going through something tough, right? But there's got to be a willingness to reinvest into that. Absolutely. Like, to value the collective energy as being something worthwhile to be part of, but to invest in, because you'll get your share of takes as well along the way. Yeah. And so we always talk about that. You want that net positive gain, and we talked about the same thing with habits. You want that net positive gain in habits as well, because people go, oh yeah, I've got all these great habits. It's like, okay, great, but I'm not getting anywhere. It's like, okay, have you gone through and have you worked out kind of what's helpful, neutral, and unhelpful, so that then you can kind of disseminate what the net gain is? Because it's not just about the good habits. If you're doing all this good stuff over here, but you're doing all this other crappy stuff over here, like binge watching Netflix and buying 5 coffees a day and whatever it is, you're not going to keep producing that podcast, are you? So you're not going to be able to do things you care about, because you've gone like this. You've taken all of this positive energy and you've just diminished it because of the weight that this is, sort of pulling it down with.
Same as like going out for lunches and dinners and stuff like that. Yeah, you've got to sort of think wisely about, because cost of living is...
So on that, like we're talking about habits, one of the things you can do as a listener or viewer, if you're watching this with the video content as well, is that you can head to our website. You can go to www.theadaptabilitymovement.com.au/habits. And we've got a free downloadable template there that you can pop in your email address, and we'll send it straight to you. So it's a pretty simple thing. It comes with a step-by-step guide in terms of how we actually sort of do that little bit of an analysis or audit on where you currently are with those habits, and it gives you some tips on then how you can sort of get that net gain, rather than sort of investing all this stuff in the good stuff, but feeling like you're not getting anywhere or spinning the wheels because there's things in it that are holding you back still. So appreciate you sharing that with us and your experience of it. So look, I mean, from here, Bevo, it's really about like, what's the next step for you? Like, you said 4 years running a podcast, you recently married, we had a second marriage almost, didn't you? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? So give the listener a context.
Well, just with the whole COVID situation, we were supposed to get married in 2020 and have a proper wedding and everything, and we still got married April 18th, 2020, but it was right in the heart of COVID, so it was just our parents and the celebrant and our puppy dog. So so it was just crazy, and it was just on a Saturday night. I was wearing like a nice shirt and shorts, and she just had a nice dress, so it was casual as anything. But it was lovely, and then so we were supposed to go on a honeymoon to America and had this amazing plan. I've never been to the States before. She had, lucky for her, and we were going to go to like an NBA playoffs game for my 40th birthday, and then supposed to go to Bali that with the family and everything got shut down because of COVID, and so many people have been in the same situation, so you can't complain. And then we managed to luckily get our honeymoon. It was January last year. Went to Daydream Islands. Great. So literally we've got married, gone on the honeymoon, and then got married again because the 27th of March last year we had it was like a renewal of the vows. So basically, so she could wear the dress, walk down the aisle, and that was classified as like a unofficial wedding. So it was more like a big party, but still, did the whole rings situation, and still had the celebrant there. But it was just an amazing day. We had a Goa Aquatic Club, and I don't know if you know Goa, but the weather down there can be terrible sometimes. And we just had the most amazing weather the whole day, and the night was just amazing. And as you know, with being married yourself, Kirky, just goes so fast, and you just don't want it to stop. You just want to keep on going and partying with your friends, and you feel like you didn't get to talk to hardly anyone, but it was just the best day, and I'm so glad we did it that way now. And not many people can say they've been married twice with the same girl, can they?
Terrific, well done. And didn't have to go through some trauma in between to revisit that, right?
Exactly.
Look, it's funny because like this, our story is not exactly the same, but we actually got married the day before our celebration with everyone, because we wanted to choose our own celebrant. And we wanted, we had a friend that we really wanted involved in a wedding. We wanted him to be the person that united us. And so instead of putting him through a celebrant's course and that sort of trauma and whatever, we went, we'll go to the registry office the day before, sign the papers, do the official part of it, but then go out and do it exactly the way that we want to, rather than being bound by someone else's rules. So
awesome.
that was a really cool experience for us. And and I respect and relate to the down-to-earth nature that you sort of sharing, because again, we had our dog at the wedding as well. We did it down the beachfront, and again, we wanted everyone that was involved, like so friends to play roles, like not ones that were a burden on them in terms of them not being able to participate in the wedding, but we had a mate who was the vocalist and guitarist, and friends that would MC and all that sort of stuff. So that it just made it more of an experience, and it's not necessarily about saving money or anything. Like, yes, you don't want to create this massive debt out of something which is supposed to be a celebration of your love, right?
Yeah.
I still find it unbelievable that you're celebrating you and your wife's relationship and that union, and yet you're the one that has to shout everyone else. Oh, no. It's just nuts.
It's not fair, is it?
It's really not. But we just did it our way, and I sense that from you, and I love that, because I think when you do that, it gives other people insight and permission to do the same. Exactly. So you let go of all the bells and the whistles and the things that aren't really necessary. They're things that you feel obligated to do, and you have a good time. I said to my wife, I want to do it in shorts and a shirt. Yeah. And so we did. And she had a beautiful dress, but I didn't look out of place. I still looked smart. So, it was a good experience, because it was what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, and
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, with the people that matter, and it's a good metaphor template for life, because I often say, and we have this thing within the Adaptability Movement, and it's you kind of need 3 key points to sort of line up in terms of making life feel purposeful, and it's you've got the relationship part of it, so those connections with people that you care about. You've got the growth side of it, that you're constantly moving and improving yourself, and then you've got the experiences, and it's how those 3 integrate together. So it's like, what are you doing, who are you doing it with, and what's it like creating out of that? And I just think that provides so much more purpose and connection for people, and it's a really simple way of looking at it as well. Like, yes, we can teach adaptability, and we can teach all of these other skills that might enhance your career, your health and well-being, your mindset, your relationships and connections. But ultimately, we still need to satisfy those 3 things to feel whole. Does that mean anything to you? Like, in terms of what can you reflect on your own life with that?
Yeah, sorry, can you explain that again?
That's all right. And so if you think about a triangle, and we've got the relationships and the connections, we've got the growth aspect, we've got the experiences, and how those 3 things combine for you to sort of create things in your life to create more abundance.
I'm a bit lost with that one.
Hey, that's all right. So, for example, you talk about growth, right?
Yeah.
Let me be the sort of... No, that's fine. I've sprung that one on you, but...
Cut that bit out.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is about being real and about sharing stuff. So, when you talk about, going back to Smiley and having mentors and stuff, and Daniel Norton as well. So, that, to me, that is the growth element, right? But it also is a relationship, and it's also an experience that you share together that creates that growth, right? Yeah. So you've got that synergy. So it's this mutually beneficial sort of regenerative cycle of stuff that can keep flowing and going around, because there's meaning for everyone in it, right?
Yes.
With your wife Kelly, and the way that she's investing in you with the podcast, and the way that you're investing in her, sounds like it was her kind of idea for the remarriage. It was an experience with a person that she wanted, and there's growth out of that for your relationship. So do you see what I'm saying? Those things repeat itself in life. So our best experiences are usually, things that have satisfied those 3 things. And so what I was getting at was just trying to extract that a little bit for you in your own words. Yeah. Ended up putting it into my words for you. But if that makes you more self-aware, and you seek out more things that satisfy those things, and realise that's actually a way to create purpose and abundance in your life, well then great. Hopefully our message has landed for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. No,
Bevo, mate, it's been a terrific conversation. I'm very grateful for you coming in and joining us for it. I've really appreciated the opportunity to sort of jump on your podcast, and I think we're going to revisit that as well. I'm going to come to your flash studio, and we've got the I don't know what you call it, probably the Toyota Land Cruiser over here. We're going to head off to the Rolls Royce studio, so that'll be a terrific experience as well. So look, mate, tell us where people can find you.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, mate. So Legends of Bevo is just on Facebook, Instagram, also on even Twitter. I put up my videos on LinkedIn as well, YouTube, so sort of everywhere really.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Cool.
And, and also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now too. So started out as video, but now sort of do it as audio too.
Yeah.
So you can sort of listen to it because everyone's on the podcast side of things now too. So
yeah,
so it's all over the place. Just if you just Google Legends of Bevo, you'll be able to find me. And
terrific.
And that was one of the main reasons for changing from Chewing the Fat to Legends of Bevo. It's a much better marketing point of view.
Yeah.
Because previously you Google Chewing the Fat, can never find me. Now you Google Legends of Bevo, I'm straight up there, straight away. So I'm everywhere, as people say. So.
Fantastic. I love what you're doing. Yeah, mate, thank you very much.
Thanks so
Great
much,
to have
Kirky.
you, and look forward to joining you on Legends with Bevo soon.
Love it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.